I tried absolutely everything to lose weight over the past 5 years, and despite my best efforts, I kept gaining weight, feeling sluggish and bloated all of the time. I listened to my doctor, I ate way less, I exercised way more, and my efforts were always in vain. Then in late April 2023, after following Monica, the hormone detective, on Instagram, I decided to see if she could help me. She did a thorough assessment of all of my symptoms and came back to me with the root cause, or causes in my case, that kept me from realizing my best self. In that case, it was PCOS, insulin resistance, candida, and adrenal fatigue. And then she catered a total wellness protocol unique to me that included diet, exercise, supplementation, sleep, hydration, and emotional well being. She helped me do what no doctor could. After 7 months, I'm down 3 clothing sizes. I have found that I absolutely love exercise and lifting weights. I know recipes and foods that work for me and the ones that cause inflammation and bloat in my body. Working with Monica has been truly life-changing. She's so knowledgeable, and I learn every single week from her.
Hey, friend. So that was a shout out from one of my clients who is experiencing massive weight loss resistance, hair loss, and chronic inflammation, along with a laundry list of other symptoms when we first talked. She took my free hormone quiz, got the results, and was both surprised and validated when it was revealed she had a few things going wonky with her hormones, including undiagnosed PCOS. Today, I want to talk with you about polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS for short. If you've never heard of PCOS or thought it was only for something that affected women in their 20s or 30s, think again. In fact, it's this and other myths about PCOS that have earned it the nickname the silent disorder. If you experience abnormally heavy, short, or long periods without birth control, along with oily skin or acne, hair loss, and maybe even unexplained weight gain, especially in your stomach, then you might have PCOS too. But while PCOS affects an estimated 1 in 10 out of every woman of reproductive age in the US, the numbers are in actuality much, much higher because, get this, 70% of all cases go undiagnosed. Yeah, undiagnosed. More on what the challenges are in diagnosing PCOS specifically in a minute. No need to book an appointment. Just grab your notebook and stick around, because I'll be back to break it all down in less than 90 seconds. Welcome to Are You There Midlife? It's me, Monica. Hi, I'm Monica Topetti, wife, mom, health coach, and hormone imbalance survivor. And I'm on a mission to help women in midlife balance hormones naturally without drugs, doctors, or divorce. Are you tired of dealing with heavy, painful periods that look like a crime scene? Are you sick of struggling with anxiety, fatigue, or brain fog that... What was I just saying? Are you frustrated doing all the things to lose weight but still packing on pounds faster than a real housewife changes Birkins? Girl, you are in the right place. Join me each week as I spill the tea on what to expect in perimenopause and beyond. From IBS to insomnia, bloating to funky body odor, I'll unpack all the weird stuff happening inside our midlife bodies, plus give you the latest science and holistic solutions to manage it all. So ditch the Spanx and hop on board the Hot Mess Express. Let's do this. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the show. So today I'm continuing my 6 weeks to summer podcast series, and I'm pulling back the curtain on the number one misdiagnosed cause of hormonal weight gain in women, polycystic ovarian syndrome. To recap, in episodes 12 through 15 of this series, we discussed hormonal weight loss resistance in perimenopause through postmenopause. and I unpacked 5 of the most common hormone imbalances contributing to weight gain: progesterone deficiency, estrogen dominance, hypothyroidism, elevated cortisol, and adrenal fatigue. Plus, I gave you some tips to start balancing your hormones naturally and get the scale moving again in the right direction. In case you missed any of those episodes, I'll go ahead and link them in today's show notes. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the 6th hormonal imbalance contributing to weight gain in midlife, PCOS. Specifically, we're going to discuss what exactly is polycystic ovary syndrome, what makes it a syndrome, and what causes it. We're also going to discuss some telltale PCOS symptoms and how PCOS is typically diagnosed, including why are so many women getting misdiagnosed. We're also going to dig into the connection between PCOS, insulin resistance, and polycystic weight gain. We'll talk a little bit about traditional PCOS treatment versus holistic treatment. And finally, can polycystic ovary syndrome actually be cured? Plus, I'll be sharing 3 of my favorite tips to start putting your PCOS symptoms into remission just in time for summer. So grab a low sugar kombucha, great for your gut, as well as PCOS-induced insulin resistance, as we stir the tea on all things polycystic ovary syndrome. So what the heck is polycystic ovary syndrome anyway? Well, as we discussed in episode 12, PCOS is a hormonal imbalance caused by an imbalance of estrogen, progesterone, and androgens. Those are the male hormones like testosterone. When these 3 hormones are in balance, they send a signal to the ovaries to release an egg. However, when estrogen, progesterone, and androgens are out of balance, the ovary doesn't receive the proper signal to release an egg automatically every month. This brings us to myth number 1 about PCOS. You don't have to have cysts on your ovaries to have PCOS. PCOS actually has more to do with excess hormones than it does with actual cysts on your ovaries. PCOS is kind of a misnomer. It actually got its name from the bumps on the ovaries that look like cysts on an ultrasound image. But these are not actual cysts. They're actually egg follicles that became arrested in development and were never released during your period. So, what causes PCOS? Well, the exact cause is unknown. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of pharmaceutical research right now on PCOS, so this condition is really a mystery in a lot of ways. There has been some research that has found that PCOS runs in families often, suggesting it may be genetic. But since there are 2 separate sets of symptoms, one related to ovulation and the other related to metabolism, this syndrome can really be difficult to diagnose, or for doctors to even agree on what constitutes an actual PCOS diagnosis. In fact, research shows that it takes an average of 2 years and multiple doctor visits to receive a diagnosis of PCOS. Now, PCOS is called a syndrome. That's because it's a collection of symptoms rather than just a single disease. Because PCOS exists in this sort of spectrum, not every woman with PCOS has the same signs and symptoms. Plus, in addition, some symptoms of PCOS have other hormonal or even non-hormonal causes, making PCOS difficult to distinguish. And lastly, metabolic symptoms aren't often included in some of the very basic criteria that many doctors use to diagnose PCOS. So the result? A misdiagnosis. So, as I just mentioned, not every woman experiences the same signs and symptoms of PCOS. But in terms of diagnosing the syndrome, the following are recognized symptoms: abnormally heavy, short, or long menstrual periods, infrequent periods, absence of a period, or spotting between periods. Obviously, all of those symptoms are related to ovulation. Additional symptoms include thinning hair or unexplained scalp hair loss, hirsutism, which is excessive hair growth on your upper lip, chin, chest, arms, or back, oily skin and or cystic acne, ovarian cysts, infertility or difficulty getting pregnant, insulin resistance, which is characterized by increased hunger and thirst, headaches, feeling hungry after meals, or a high fasting blood glucose. And then also, of course, weight gain, especially in the midsection, which a lot of women refer to as PCOS belly. Additional symptoms that can also accompany these telltale symptoms include depression, fatigue, and anxiety. So, how then is PCOS actually diagnosed? Well, one of the reasons why it is so difficult to get a PCOS diagnosis is the lack of any one test to provide a definitive diagnosis. Symptoms are varied, and a lot of these symptoms can actually be caused by multiple conditions. Some of the tests that your doctor might run might be a blood test to check your androgen levels, your blood glucose, and maybe even your cholesterol. She may also do a pelvic exam or an ultrasound to check for cysts. Although remember, a lack of cysts does not necessarily rule out PCOS, nor does the presence of cysts indicate you have PCOS. Your doctor should also include a thorough discussion with you about your symptoms, your menstrual periods, and any weight changes. So, assuming you get a proper diagnosis, can polycystic ovary syndrome be cured? And does it just go away when your period goes away, like menopause or postmenopause? Unfortunately, PCOS is not curable. Left unchecked, PCOS can increase your risk of developing high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even endometrial cancer. Which brings me to myth number 2 about PCOS. Women in menopause or postmenopause don't have PCOS. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a lifelong condition that doesn't go away after menopause. While doctors can't diagnose PCOS after menopause because really key symptoms regarding ovarian and menstrual irregularities are gone, some research suggests that underlying changes persist. In fact, some symptoms of PCOS can continue long after menopause, and women with PCOS may have a higher risk of metabolic syndrome, a key factor in age-related weight gain in all women in midlife. What is the treatment for PCOS? So, when it comes to treatment, since there are simply too many factors for a one-size-fits-all pill, if you can get a proper diagnosis by your doctor, traditional treatments will vary. For some people, you might get a off-label prescription of something like metformin that's technically approved for other conditions like diabetes or obesity. Or you might get hormonal contraceptives like birth control pills, which often just mask rather than treat symptoms of PCOS. Needless to say, navigating insurance coverage for off-label prescriptions can be challenging. And while the birth control pill might help to reduce some symptoms temporarily, symptoms can return as soon as you stop taking it. So, what about the connection between PCOS and insulin resistance, and what the heck causes polycystic weight gain? As I've shared, a key component of PCOS is excess androgen hormones like testosterone. Excess androgens can spike insulin levels, interfering with how your body processes sugars. Doctors aren't sure whether the excess androgen hormones cause insulin resistance or whether insulin resistance causes excess androgens. But high levels of insulin can increase appetite and fat storage, leading to weight gain. Okay, so in just a minute, I'm going to share with you 3 quick tips you can start implementing today to start balancing your hormones and blood sugar and get rid of that PCOS belly. But first, are you tired of being dismissed by your doctor or told your hormonal symptoms are just part of getting older? Are you frustrated by blood tests that keep coming back normal, even though you feel anything but? Are you finally ready to put the kibosh on frustrating symptoms and feel confident in your body again? Then click the link in the show notes and take my free hormone quiz. Developed by 3 functional medicine doctors, this self-assessment uses hormone symptom profiling to evaluate your age, menstrual cycle, and symptoms for 7 of the most common hormonal imbalances in perimenopause through postmenopause, including PCOS. Remember, there's at least 34 documented symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. So even if you don't have polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's possible you could be dealing with insulin resistance or another hormonal imbalance. This quiz is quick, it's easy, and it's scary accurate. And best of all, it's going to give you the clarity you need to finally understand which of your hormones are out of whack so you can begin to balance them naturally. Summer's just 2 weeks away. Oh my gosh, what are you waiting for? Click the link. Okay, so what can you do today if you are dealing with PCOS? In the case of PCOS, it's especially important that you understand in order to balance your hormones, put your symptoms into remission, and jumpstart resistant weight loss, you truly need a holistic approach. One that optimizes your hormone production while returning your body to a state of homeostasis or body in balance. We do this by focusing on a diet rich in hormone healing foods and by integrating strategic lifestyle changes, including blood sugar stabilization, targeted supplementation, sleep optimization and stress management, and hormone optimizing exercise, as well as prioritizing gut and liver health and eliminating environmental stressors like endocrine disruptors. Now, I'm going to go and pack all of that and exactly what that looks like in a future episode. But for now, here are 3 quick lifestyle changes you can make today to treat the root causes of PCOS, excess androgens, and insulin resistance, and start healing your hormones. Number 1, diet. I want you to eat a diet high in vegetables, high in fiber, and low in processed foods and foods high on the glycemic index. What does that look like? I want you to focus on low glycemic foods like green vegetables, most fruits, and raw carrots. Then I want you to eliminate or at least limit high glycemic foods like white rice, white bread, and white potatoes. Studies show that simply reducing your food's glycemic load and your carbohydrates for just 7 days can significantly reduce your testosterone levels. Number 2, I want you to supplement. Specifically, I want you to supplement with berberine. Berberine is one of a few compounds capable of activating your AMPK. This is an enzyme inside the human body's cells, which is often called the metabolic master switch, because it plays a crucial role in regulating our metabolism. AMPK activation boosts fat burning in the powerhouse of our cells, the mitochondria, which is why studies have demonstrated that berberine may help stop fat accumulation in the body and protect against metabolic syndrome. Take 500 milligrams of berberine 3 times a day with a meal. And lastly, exercise. I want you to engage in an exercise regimen of resistance training and walking to lower androgens and reduce insulin sensitivity. Resistance training with free weights, machines, resistance bands, or even your body weight 3 or more times a week for a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes per session increases muscle and balances blood sugar. According to the latest studies, resistance training at a moderate or vigorous level has been found to be more successful than any other form of exercise at lowering the free androgen index, or your testosterone, in women with PCOS, a root cause of the syndrome. Walking suppresses testosterone production and helps lower blood sugar levels by enhancing insulin sensitivity and making it an effective exercise for PCOS sufferers. Aim for 30 minutes a day, most days of the week, especially after eating a carb-rich meal. In the next episode of this series, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into low estrogen, the number one hormone imbalance responsible for weight gain in half of all women in perimenopause and menopause. Until then, ditch the white flour, rice, and potatoes, and color your plate happy. Your hormones will thank you. Hey friend, can I call you friend? Because I already feel like we're friends in my head. Did this podcast teach you something, make you laugh, or feel less like an alien? If so, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could take just 60 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the number one way you can thank me and support the show. Until next week, stay cool and keep away from sharp objects.